Now, being a mom with 4 kids, I know it took no work to get my kids to do the right thing. And it's not like I was like the perfect parent. I was a parent in learning. I was taught everything wrong, even though in the back of my mind, no, I was the black sheep of the family. So while everybody's telling me I'm wrong, clearly I was stubborn enough to say, no, I think you're wrong. And there was that fight all my life about, why don't you accept me for who I am? You know, like, clearly I'm the black sheep. There's something different about me. I see things differently than you do. And I just wasn't understood. Now, I've never gotten rid of that. Although, you know, the psychiatric world, everybody kept saying, I'm the problem, I'm the problem, I'm the problem. Well, when you tell somebody that they're the problem all the time and they don't want to be the problem, then they're going to do a little bit of research. And that's how you actually create genius people, is they want to solve a problem. And the more problems you solve, the smarter you get. So it's like, on a global basis, we got some major global problems, which means humanity is going to get real smart after we solve this problem. So it's all good. Um, but where was I going with this? That for years I thought it was me, and then once I seen without a doubt how corrupt the whole entire system is, and it's not like it's corrupt. It's that we've detached ourselves so much that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And it looks like a conspiracy. It looks intentional. It looks, but it's every single one of us that are involved in the creation of it. And we're all agreeing with it, because nobody is standing up saying, this has to change. We got to change this. Where more, you can't change City Hall. You can't change government. Everybody is in, even Bible people are saying, what's the point not sinning? Everybody's a sinner. How that one line is, you gotta admit, everybody sins. And it's like, no, if that's how you justify sinning, is why bother trying not to sin because everybody else sins? I mean, we've got some of the most insane rules that keep us doing the wrong thing all of the time. So, with ADHD, they're geniuses. This is one of the biggest problems, is they cannot receive information if they're not interested in it. As a child gets older and they are affected by society, then they block off even more. They will have more behavioral issues the more that they are made to feel less than. So the goal is to make them feel really good about themselves. Discipline, I've tried every form of discipline. No discipline has ever worked with any one of my children. So I had to find something else, because clearly I wanted to raise really good kids. And I found logic to be the best way. So when they're younger, it's easier. When they get into the teenage, it's really challenging. I am having a massive challenge right now, mostly because my kids are more influenced by society than they'll ever listen to their mother. I'm constantly being told I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, prove it. Yet nobody can stand in a room and prove anything. My insanity is constantly trying to be the one that proves it, and instead I'm, learning my process and say, I don't have to prove nothing. You prove it. You prove that I'm wrong. You study the education system. You study the medical system. You study as much as I do, and then let's come to the table and talk. But don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when you don't even know 1% of the subject matter. So, understanding goes a long way when you're trying to use some reasoning. So when I wanted my kids to behave when they were younger, using logic, it's what is the goal? What is it you want to achieve with that behavior? And they would always come up with, a logical reason why they want to do the things that they're doing. And I would always try and overcome it and make some reasoning of, well, why would you want to do that if this is the end result? If this is the potential, if this, and this, do you really think you're going to achieve what it is you want to achieve? And generally, that guided them down the right path all the time. Now, this is more also that when I was a kid, I was never allowed a voice. I was never allowed to speak. I was always told, go play in traffic. So when I had kids, this was one of the rules, is I'm going to allow my kids to have a voice. So I let them speak. I would always, well, what is your reasoning behind some of the things you're doing? And they are friggin' genius kids. And they would have really good reasoning why they want to do the things that they're doing. And then they'd find out, oh, that was a mistake. And one particular time, one of my kids came back and says, well, I'm the mom and I should have been um, more influential to get them to do the right thing. And it's like, okay, lesson learned. My kid wants me to be smarter than him. And then when smart shows up, they reject smart. It's like really, um, you can't get anybody to do anything they don't want to do. And sometimes it's best for just let people learn by on their own. And that's frankly what they all want us to do. Most of my kids today are all saying we want to learn by our mistakes, by our own mistakes. The only funny thing is that I've lived a long time. I've observed my grandparents, my parents, my life, and now I'm observing my kids' life. And the problems that they want to learn from are not exactly their own problems. They're identical to 3 generations past. That's how behavioral problems, abuse gets repeated. There are behavior patterns that are repeated over and over and over again, and it's very, very rare that you overcome your issues. Just when you think you've broken a cycle, you find out you're in a room and you just painted the wall a different color. You're still in the same room, but it looks different. That's the same line as, we live in different times today, Mom. And it's like, when I was a kid, I used to say that to my parents too. We're living in different times. You don't understand the world today. You come from a different world. And it's like, we're all living in the same friggin' world. There's nothing different. Everything is exactly the same patterns being replayed over and over and over again. Just because we live with different stuff, just because we see different things on TV or we have a TV, or it doesn't mean anything. The same patterns, the same causes that drive behaviors are exactly the same. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying the same things. You wouldn't act the same. You wouldn't. Everything is the same. So it's like, how can you be different if everything is the same? And you can't even judge that everything is the same because you haven't even seen it. You haven't seen your past. You know, you only seen me and your life. So you've only seen 2 generations. You need to be able to recognize a pattern. You have to see more than just a few generations. And there's a good chance that I don't even see the big picture because I'm only seeing, I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations that have been alive in my lifetime that I've been able to observe. That's pretty powerful shit to be alive and see 5 generations of your family tree still alive. My kids don't have that. They only have the current family to go by. They don't really know the grandparents. So with behavioral issues, everybody behaves a lot better when they're feeling good about themselves. So that is one of the things that I would recommend the most, is making sure your child feels good about themselves. Give them some information that the education system is really, really screwed up right now, and you are very, very smart, and you're just disrupting the classroom, and you're asking very smart questions that teachers can't answer, and they need to make you feel really dumb. So just giving your kid some of that information all of a sudden will register and will put him in a power position instead of a weak position. So when he goes into school, he'll know that he's smarter than the teacher. But there is some morals that you need to teach with kids, and I wish I knew this. I wish I knew how to teach that lesson. And this is what caused most of my abuse, is I was making my kids feel really, really good about themselves, but they had zero value for me. And that was influenced by their father. Married an abusive man who couldn't see the good in anything. So he kept telling his kids that don't see the good in your mother ever. So they're repeating that pattern. My father didn't see the good in any women. That is one of the behaviors. The males never see anything good in females. Females seem to be more forgiving and loving, but even that's slightly being mixed, because when you are born, you get the genetics of both. I know I have the traits of my father and my mother, in every way. They're both mixed together. So mine and my ex's, my kids' father's DNA is mixed, so they'll have the same traits as their father as well as me equally. So they'll have, they're loving, loving kids. Understanding. They will search for answers. Some of them, at least. Some of them won't. Um, but they all want answers. There's no question about that. Everybody wants to live a loving, peaceful life. Everybody loves each other. Everybody wants to get along. Nobody does get along. If they're really, really smart people, then that shouldn't happen. So that's one of the things I would suggest to your child, that if in fact that you are a genius, then what a genius looks like is they're very, very peaceful and they're very calm, and then they always access the right information. They're, while you're peaceful and loving, you may go into a school system where everything is wrong, but you can go into that school system with an understanding that these people just don't know any better, and it's up to you to teach them. Now, if you're good at teaching, then there's no disruption. There, everybody's happy. That is the challenge with ADHD kids. But as soon as you even make the suggestion, you inspire them that they're genius. And what you need to be a genius at is the ability to communicate without offending other people. Because if you're a genius, you're going to be telling other people that they're wrong. You're going to be questioning everything they do. So you need to be able to learn how to communicate in a way that guiding people towards recognizing things that are wrong are not offensive. So that means that, you're calm in a classroom. You're so those are the kinds of things that I would do with a child that has ADHD. I would give them a responsibility that you are the genius, you are smarter than the teacher, and if you are accessing your full potential, then you are calm in your classroom. You are not disrupting the classroom. You're able to sit there calmly and peacefully. Now, if the classroom is really, really boring to you, then that's the time that maybe you can think of, what can I do that will work within this system? Now, you might fail the test. Be okay with failing tests, because you won't be able to know. You won't. It's like when you know the truth, you can't buy the lie. So if a classroom has a test and you fail that test, that's sort of like a confirmation that you're a genius, because you're not buying into the lie. Um, so I wouldn't be concerned whatsoever about what your test scores are. The biggest thing for ADHD kids is to learn how to socialize. So, I mean, if you're daydreaming in class, if you're doing any of these behavioral issues, it's okay. It doesn't make any difference in the big picture of things. Your goal, an ADHD child's goal, is to learn how to socialize and fit within society. How do you guide people from, you know, everything wrong into everything that's right? Sometimes, if it is about you need to graduate and get a certificate so that you can be the CEO, then maybe you need to infiltrate this current structure and be the new lawyer so that you can change the complete legal system, because there's no way it can tell the difference between right or wrong. If you're really smart, you'd be able to see that. You can watch any of these Law and Order shows. they can't tell who's guilty or not. They'll put an innocent guy in jail and not give a shit about it. So maybe we need some of these loving people to sort of infiltrate, which means maybe you need to bullshit a little bit on these tests and pass them. You know, accept the lie just so you can get the paper, so you can get the job, so you can change the friggin' system. But it's a challenge, ADD. Peace out.